Brett, first things first, kind of point out the elephant in the room. Brendan Sorsby, really all the drama that's been going on at Texas Tech this past offseason. What's your take on it?
I was going to start with this. I was in class one day, doing journalism. We get a email from our athletic director saying there's going to be a thing coming out soon about Brendan Sorsby. So I look at my friend reporters in the room. We're like, all right, what's going on? Because we're supposed to be paying attention to this whole like explanation, trying to pay attention to class, and all of a sudden the college football world's turning upside down.
Holmes Field Advantage.
And welcome into the Holmes Field Advantage podcast. I'm your host, as always, Wesley Holmes. And today I'm bringing you two special guests on the podcast. We'll go to them right now.
Holmes Field Advantage. Guest of the Week.
And welcome into the Holmes Field Advantage Guest of the Week segment of the show. Today I'm joined by Brett Ramirez, sports reporter / commentator and radio host for KTXT 88.1, the Raider at Texas Tech University. Brett, great to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm great, man. I'm over here in Lubbock. It's hot. That's how it always is in Texas, but you know what? We move. We move.
Right. Always at Texas. I'm in Bama myself, so not quite as hot, but we do have a little bit of common ground right there. So, Brett, first things first, kind of point out the elephant in the room. Brendan Sorsby, really all the drama that's been going on at Texas Tech this past offseason. What's your take on it?
I was going to start with this. I was in class one day, doing journalism. We get a email from our athletic director saying there's going to be a thing coming out soon about Brendan Sorsby. So I look at my friend reporters in the room. We're like, all right, what's going on? Because we're supposed to be paying attention to this whole like explanation, trying to pay attention to class, and all of a sudden the college football world's turning upside down because Brendan Sorsby, of course, is kicked off the team. Now the thing is, what people don't realize or fail to realize is that he never took a snap for Texas Tech. This was all him during spring training. We had just had spring game. So we got to see about 1% of Brendan Sorbja what he could have been going into this college football season, and all of a sudden you don't have your starting quarterback for next year. It's
What?
hard for sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, how frustrating does that make it for Texas Tech, knowing they've done absolutely nothing wrong in the situation? Like you said, it was all Sorsby bringing the drama in, but now you've got to probably go find a new quarterback now, and you can't because there's no spring portal, so you're just stuck with the backup room.
You know, man, Texas Tech before the introduction of NIL and stuff like that, we've always been I'm not gonna say always because there hasn't that one time in 2008, but we the past few years has been middle of the pack Big 12, then Oklahoma and Texas leave for the SEC, leaving a big power gap in the Big 12. Who's going to come in and take the reins? You see Texas Tech come in and do all this stuff. So you already have some baggage in the social media realm and landscape of college football. Now you got it for the worst possible reason. And it's not your fault, like you said. It's because your quarterback brings this baggage with him because he gambled a lot. And it goes back to this too. Coach McGuire said, if Will Hammond hadn't torn his ACL in that game against Oklahoma State, which he really didn't have to play in, sorry, Oklahoma State fans, y'all's team was not good. Um, you wouldn't be looking for a starting quarterback in Brendan Sorsby. He was your guy. Um, Unfortunately, like I said, he tears his ACL. Now you have to go out and look, and you saw it against in the Oregon game. Your quarterback play was not up to par. You love Barrymore, you respect Barrymore for what he did for this university. He was not the answer at quarterback in that game. You saying, okay, maybe they're just a quarterback away, so you go out and get the best quarterback in the transfer portal, Brendan Sorsby, and look what happens. So it's to say it's frustrating, I can say it's an understatement because you have so much that goes so much looking forward to, and this is probably the most hyped season in Texas Tech football history, even going past last year. So it's just for me personally, it's so much baggage being taken off of Texas Tech shoulders because you're out of the media, not completely, but you're starting to get out of the media, out of the realm of being a villain in college football going forward.
Right. So you not only as a fan, but working with the university in the athletics, how much more frustrating was it when there was the situation where all the injunctions are being filed? It looks like he'll actually be allowed to play. Never mind, he's not going to play. He's going to the NFL. All these things happening. Does that just make it even worse?
Man, I had a lot of people asking me on social media and stuff like, "What's going on? What's going on? What's going? Brendan Sorsby, what's going on?" I'm like, "Dude, go listen to Pete Thamel. He has everything that's going on. It's man, I have like I come again, Texas, hotbed college football. A lot of people are like Texas Tech does not deserve to be in the situation they're in terms of negative spotlight and positive spotlight. They don't want to see Texas Tech succeed just because they're built on NIL and anything like this. It's not fun when the rabbit has the gun, right? It's just that's just how it goes. For me, it's frustrating because you finally get yourself in the spotlight of college football, and now it all comes crashing down because you're now seen as the villains for something you didn't do.
Mm.
So on one hand, great. I love that Texas Tech is so relevant in college football, but it's for the wrong reasons.
Right. And that's unfortunate because last year they had one heck of a season. And if you even have a slightly, again, no disrespect to Baron Moore, but that defense was special at Texas Tech. That's the reason they got to the playoff. And the offense is the reason they couldn't continue past the first round.
Yeah, for sure. That's an all-time defense. It rivals the Nebraskas and the Oklahomas in Big 12 history. It was fantastic. You have guys that went in the NFL draft. Jacob Rodriguez went to my Dolphins. I was so excited when that happened. David Bailey went to the Jets. Anyway, no, but it's great. It
Yeah,
was great
the
getting to watch
Jets.
them.
That's where people go to die, unfortunately. But I think he's good enough to make an impact. Hopefully for him, he gets traded in 3 years. That's the best thing you hope for is when you get traded to the Jets, not traded, sorry, drafted by the Jets. Where can I get traded in 2 or 3 years? Once my rookie contract's up, where can I go? No shade to the Jets fans, if there are any out there. But you mentioned a few minutes ago talking about Oklahoma, Texas. They leave the SEC. They think the grass is greener. Neither of them have won the SEC championship, but what that does leave is the Big 12 wide open, like you said. And we've seen some teams I don't think people expected. Arizona State, year one, wins it. Last year, I believe Texas Tech, a lot of people expected they could, but not to be as good as they were. BYU was a little bit out of nowhere. Looking ahead at this season, who are those contenders to you?
Honestly, it's going to stay roughly the same as what you said. I mean, you talk about Arizona State. A bit of a weird offseason for them. But again, we have them in the chaos tier because they can definitely do some damage.
Right.
BYU is definitely going to be up there, but then you have teams like Houston who had a 10 win season last year. They have one of the best defenses in the league, possibly in the country. Willie Fritz has done a fantastic job down there in Houston. Um, Anything can happen in the Big 12, especially when you have that sort of thing. And in Texas Tech, of course, I I don't like when people say something like the Texas Tech defense is taking a step back because you're going to look at the Big 12 preseason teams. You have six first team all defense. You have Bryce Pollock, Austin Romaine, Ben Roberts, Matini Biragba, Adam Trick, AJ Holmes. AJ Holmes, Ben Roberts fought for defensive preseason player of the year. That defense is not going anywhere. I hate people to say that because even like, oh, you lost Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker room's not going to be. Austin Romaine, Ben Roberts, and John Curry are going to be, it's the best room in the country, in my opinion. I mean, it's fantastic. And then you look at the offensive side of the ball as well. There's the turnover is fantastic. You turn 12 starters. It's going to be fantastic. And not okay. I'm going to stop talking about Texas Tech for a second. Sorry, but no. With this Brendan Sorsby situation, you don't know what's going to happen at quarterback. Is Will Hammond going to be ready? You don't know. So I think there's a lot of things that could happen in the Big 12 this season. I mean, you look at, like I said, Houston, BYU, Arizona State. There's a lot of teams. Utah, you don't know how it's going to look with Jimmy Rogers. Excuse me, Morgan Scalley. There's a lot of things that can go differently in the Big 12 this year.
Right. You talked about Utah. I do wonder for them just losing their longtime head coach, how different it's going to look this season because we've been hearing about the Utes for gosh, feels like 10 years where, oh, it's Utah's year. Well, if this guy doesn't get injured, it's Utah's year. And every year's their year. It just never ends up being that for the Utes. So maybe it changes under new direction this season. Kind of want to switch over, just looking at the college football playoff. Obviously, Big 12 would get the automatic bid. You would imagine their champion being above 10 wins or so. Do you think they could even sneak in 2 or 3 this year?
Absolutely. I mean, and again, it's going to depend on the outlook for the rest of the college football season. If you look at BYU last year, there was a really good case they could have made it if they even just won the Big 12 championship. Now that brings the question of would Texas Tech have made it if they lost the Big 12 championship game? That was a big conversation that happened throughout that week. Of course, Texas Tech ends up winning the Big 12, so it's out of the question. But absolutely, I mean, if you have, say, like BYU Texas Tech last year, two teams 11-1 going into that game. It depends on gosh. The Big 12's reputation right now would tell me the chances are lower than I want it to be, but I definitely think it's possible. Because again, like I said, you have two 11-1 teams going to the Big 12 championship game. Heck, say one's undefeated because Texas Tech doesn't play a BYU this year. Like you mentioned on your spreadsheet. Say you have two 12-0 teams going to the Big 12 championship game. One team happens to lose it. Are you going to leave one team out just because they lose an extra game?
Mm. And that's really been the talking point over the last couple of years in college football. You play the bonus game, the championship game. Should it hurt you? I think back to this is a personal one for me. Might be able to see from the Auburn decorations on my desk. 2017, we go down. We were 10-2. We're ranked number 2 in the country, just behind Clemson. We lose 28-7 the SEC title game to Georgia. Georgia gets in fair and square. Auburn's left out of the playoffs. Bama doesn't have to play an extra game. They get in over Auburn. And I'm not saying that it should be different, but then last year, same thing. Alabama 10-2. They lose that extra game 28-7 to Georgia, SEC title game. They don't drop. So how much, in your opinion, should the title games be weighed?
Man, yeah, I like you mentioned exactly last year. That was the big question with how it mattered in the grand scheme of college football and rankings and stuff like that. I think there has to be context behind it, like we just talked about with say like I said again, BYU, Texas Tech, they meet potentially if they meet 12 and they go 12-0 both. I think that extra game it shouldn't matter. Those two teams prove that they're two of the best teams in the country with their records. They should be in the playoffs. I don't think there shouldn't be a question if those two teams are ranked in the top 10 and they play an extra game that just means one has a loss in the a one in the loss column. It shouldn't matter.
Right.
But yeah, but then again, if you have a team if a team someone makes the Big 12 championship game and they're 9-3 and they win and they beat a team like Texas Tech or BYU and they're 12-0, do you put them in the playoffs? I don't
Right.
th- I don't th- I don't think so just because you already have three losses on the season. But then they're going to take a look at the team that lost in the Big 12 championship and be like, all right, how bad do we dock them in the CFP because they lost to a team like that? It's like I mean, look at Miami last year. They didn't even make the ACC championship game. Duke won. Should Duke have been in the playoff? Probably not.
So no.
But that's like, and again, Miami did prove themselves by making it to the national championship game, but that's besides the point.
Right. And if you're a conference commissioner right now, you almost look at your title game like the winner does not benefit as much as the loser loses.
Hmm.
So I'm hurting one of my teams by hosting a championship game. Like I think of BYU last year. If there's not a Big 12 championship, BYU is just 11-1. They're in for sure. They
Hmm.
aren't out unless they lose to Texas Tech. But if they beat Texas Tech, they barely move up. They move up what? 1 seed, maybe. They're still going to play the first round. They're not hosting. So that's I guess my little soapbox on that is are the conference title games necessary anymore, especially in an expanded field? I guess we'll switch gears to that. We're expanded. Should we be even more expanded? Do you like 12? Should it be 24? Should it be 8 or 4?
My preface was saying I am a huge college basketball person. So with them announcing they're expanding their field to 76, I was already livid. Then you got college football. who's expanded over the last decade and a half, you go from four, you go to 12. I'm gonna rival what the rest of the Big 12, but the Big 12 is heavily in favor of expansion because that means more of a chance to get their teams in, more money, more TV time, more of a chance to put their conference on the map and in front of faces on New Year's. I don't think it's necessary from the standpoint of these are the 12 best teams in the country. And I understand people are going to get mad at the James Madisons, at the Tulanes of the world. Like, you have to have a group of five representative in there. I don't think that's up for debate. You're the best group of five teams should make it in, whether it's one, whether it's two. Now, it's like look at James Madison. They scored against Oregon. It's not like a self-roaster. Texas Tech didn't. They went to Eugene and scored. Texas Tech, they went to Miami, put up a fat goose egg. Was I happy about it? No, but that's just how it is.
Right.
Um, but I like the current one. I like the current uh sorry, the last season's bracket just because one, I'm a college football fan. I loved seeing all the teams get upset that they didn't make it at Notre Dame. But it was great to me because you teams be mad. It's like, well, join a conference, play
Mhm.
better, don't lose to teams you're not supposed to lose to. Look
You
at
can't start a season 0-2 and then be mad. You just can't. You
exactly.
control that.
Yeah. I mean, even in the state of Texas, look at UT. We lost to 4-8 Florida. We beat two teams in the top. We beat two teams, several teams in the top 10. Yeah, don't lose to Florida. Florida would smack anybody in the Big 12. Okay, this isn't the Big 12. This is the SEC, and they sucked,
Mhm.
respectfully.
Mhm.
That's just how it is. So I think I'm in favor of it keeping I was in favor of them keeping it how it is, just because I think it does best for college football.
Right. You mentioned college basketball. I'll kind of use that to switch around to some NBA talk. See the Dallas Mavericks flag in the back. So I know it's been really a roller coaster of emotions for you the last 2, 3 years. First, you have to deal with Luca. Now you get Cooper Flag coming in. How are you mentally as a Dallas fan?
You know, man, that's the question of the day, isn't it? No. That night, February 1st, 2025, I was watching Texas Tech beat Houston in possibly the game of the year in college basketball that season. They went to Houston, they won in overtime with head coach Graham McCasland getting and JT Toppin getting kicked out of that game. I was on cloud nine after that game. I was at home watching TV, and all of a sudden I get a tweet on my phone from Shams Charania, and it says, "This is real. Luka Doncic is being traded to the Los Angeles Lakers." I went, the rest of the week was awful for me. You got all the guys like he deserved a statue. All the guys outside of American Airlines Center, all this kind and then of course the draft comes around. You get the first overall pick when controversially with Cooper Flag, Anthony Davis becomes Anthony Data Davis with the rest of the season, and now you get Dusty May. Um, Man, Dallas has been testing Texas Tech and Dallas have both been testing me over the last couple of years or so with this whole Brendan Sorsby thing with Luka Doncic. It doesn't get easier. Um, but I think with this new era with Masai Ujiri, with Dusty May coming in, with ownership letting them take the reins and not controlling everything themselves, realizing they made a mistake, getting rid of Nico Harrison, who actually, funny story about Nico Harrison, when he got fired from by Dallas, he was actually in Lubbock a few days later eating with his daughter, I think. And people saw him and were like, and this is after he got fired. You can just think fire Nico, even after he was done in Lubbock. So safe to say he hasn't come back since then. But it's been rough for sure. And if you know anybody that knows me, you can ask anybody around me. I was probably the biggest Luca fan going back to my time as a freshman in high school. So yeah, Texas sports will do that to you.
Oh yeah, I bet. So I can't quite relate to the Luca trade. I think that's like it's the worst trade I think in sports history.
Mhm.
There's nothing could top it. It has been a rough, I guess, the last month and a half for me. I was actually just in Mexico this past month for a missions trip, and we aren't allowed to have our phones. So it's
Yeah.
like during NFL trade season, NBA trade, like a lot's going on. Finals are going on, and I'm a huge Cleveland fan. So me and one of my best friends, Nick, we're on this trip together. He has to go to an emergency room. He got like a spider bite or something, so he's allowed to have his phone. He comes back to me. He says, Wesley, I'm going to ruin your trip. I said, well, what's going on? I thought he was joking. He said, Myles Garrett just got traded. So that's been my favorite player since he got drafted.
Yeah.
He went number one overall, two-time defensive player of the year. I mean, he's our guy, and he's been the guy. So I remember I was upset. Like the whole trip was ruined for me. So I come back. I end up being okay. I hope he goes and gets a ring because I truly still love him. I get why I went to LA. And then this past, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, I'm at a summer camp. So no phones once again. I get on my computer because I'm doing some schoolwork. And the first thing I see is, why did the Celtics trade Jaylen Brown? I'm a Boston fan. And I see it like, tell me we got Joel Embiid. Do we get Maxey? Do we get Edgecombe? We get Podcast P. All freaking George. So it's not been a good off season of trades for me. I haven't gotten much in return. Maybe Paul George goes for 30, 15, and 10 this year, but I just don't quite see it right now. Oh boy, what were your thoughts on that trade? Because I got to vent a little bit about that one. What do you think of it?
I mean, I can't say it any, but I mean, that's what you get back for trading a former Finals MVP. Not talking about that 2024 final series, whatever. But no, I mean that's all you get back for someone who meant so much to this franchise, who probably who carried the load until Jason Tatum got back from tearing his ACL. You get a back half of his 30s Paul George, who's well out of his prime. You talk about they talk Brad Stevens wanted to get someone like VJ Edgecombe from that trade, but ultimately Philadelphia was like no because they knew Jalen Brown's trade value was so low because of what they were trying to do with Giannis. So when you reveal to Jalen when the media reveals to Jalen Brown that they were trying to get rid of him, it's like okay, I don't really want to be here right now. But I mean you trade a podcaster for a podcaster, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah, so we're gonna get plenty of media this next NBA season. So that's the one thing I'm excited about. And to Paul George, to his credit, he's not a bad player.
I
He's
don't
just
know.
old. He's just washed. And he's not, like you said, you could give Jaylen Brown so many accolades. That's just not what Paul George is. I don't think that's ever who he is. But we're going to switch gears. Kind of last question of this. So I ask everyone who comes on here. It's kind of a fun would you rather. Do you
Okay.
think you have a better chance hitting a fastball off of an MLB pitcher? So it doesn't have to be Shohei or anybody. Just think of any starting pitcher or return a serve from Roger Federer in professional tennis.
Oh man. I'm gonna say a serve in tennis, just because if you're trying to hit a fastball from an MLB pitcher, fastball from an MLB pitcher specifically, I mean you got to think too. That's split second reaction time too. I mean you have half a second to get that ball to get the bat off your arm, off your shoulder, get into swinging motion. By that time you do that, the ball is already in the glove. So at least with something like tennis, you have a little bit more of a reaction time to get the ball back over the net. So I'm gonna go with tennis. I'll go with tennis. That's hard though.
Yeah, I've gotten really, really split reactions from that because it was actually I wish I could take credit for the question my dad asked me, but I just think it's a interesting question. A lot of it goes back to experience. Like, did you play either sport growing up?
I played tennis a little bit. I was an outfielder in baseball, so I can kind. There's so much nuance to it too. That's hard. That's hard.
Right. Well, we do appreciate you joining us on the show here today, Brett. Great talking to you. Hopefully, have you on here soon again. Maybe Texas Tech will be a little bit not quite as mainstream for the wrong reasons by the time we revisit this.
Absolutely. Hey, man, appreciate you having me on. No, it's great. I love my Red Raiders. I know there's so much controversy just around the Big 12, around Texas Tech, but hey, man, we love it. We love it. There's no better time to be a Red Raider right now. Reckon
So, hey, well, thank you for coming on the show. You have a great week.
you as well.
It's definitely a tough question. Florida fans, it feels like, are very famous for being impatient and not wanting to wait and kind of let things develop. We saw that happen with Dan Mullen. Obviously, I believe he was fired too early, and it felt like the exact opposite with Billy Napier, where we kind of waited too long. I would say success for me.